Let's circle back to taxes for a second, because that's what you guys in the Senate are going over this week. There's concerns about deficits. It seems like, it's like whack-a-mole, right? You try to solve one problem, someone else has another issue. Besides the child tax credit, do you have any lingering concerns on the package that you're going to vote on, presumably this week?
Yeah, except I analyze it very differently. People look at, okay, here's the argument would be, we can't cut taxes because it will drive up the deficit. That assumes that somehow we can fix the deficit through higher taxes, and we can't.
Right.
The only way you're going to deal with the debt is you have to do two things. You can't do one, you got to do both. You have got to generate economic growth, because growth generates revenue. But you also have to bring spending under control, and not discretionary spending. That isn't the driver of our debt. The driver of our debt is the structure of Social Security and Medicare for future beneficiaries. We still have time, not just to save those programs, but responsibly structure them in a way that doesn't impact current retirees or people about to retire, but in a way that would probably impact it for me and people younger than me in ways that, quite frankly, you wouldn't really notice and you wouldn't really object to, because it's reasonable. And if we did that in combination with growth, you can begin to bring the trajectory of the debt to a responsible and acceptable level. That is the only way forward. So I view tax reform as the economic growth component of it. That's what will ultimately help to generate more revenue. You have more people working, you have more taxpayers. You have more taxpayers, you have more revenue. That's the first part. But that alone won't be enough. If you just do that and you don't do the other piece, you're going to have a debt problem. That's a fact, and we got to do both. And in the absence of that, we're going to continue to be in this cycle one way or the other.
So one of the things that we talk to Democrats all the time about this tax bill and how are they going to play this in 2018 if you guys are successful, as it appears that you will be. How would you respond to this attack ad that's definitely coming from them? They tell us all the time this is how they are going to attack you guys. Republicans are gutting health care, cutting taxes for corporations to give rich people a tax break.
Well, I would argue, number one, that certainly if we pass our child tax credit, the impact it will have on working families will be a significant tax cut. In fact, it'll be the largest tax cut many of them have had their entire lives. Number two, I think it's important to understand that when you're cutting taxes on businesses, one of the reasons why you do that is you do it because you want to help them, you want to encourage them to invest the money in the United States to create jobs and opportunities. But they're not going to do that unless there's people that can afford to buy the service or the product they offer. So that's why I think the personal side of the cuts, we need to do more on that front. And on the healthcare front, I would say that if you look at the people that are being hurt the most by, for example, the individual mandate, it is the individual who is working and isn't rich, but makes $50,000 a year, okay? At $50,000 a year, if they don't have health insurance from their employer, they make too much money for the subsidy, but the law requires them to buy it or they get penalized. They're in no man's land. And those are the people that are, because the people that have a partial or full subsidy, no matter how high the premiums go, the subsidy will have to kick in to pay down that premium to an affordable level for them. But it's the people beyond a certain income threshold, I think it's $47,000, $48,000 in most places, that automatically are required by law to buy insurance from the marketplace, but with no subsidy. They're the ones that would get hurt. And those are the people that we want to focus on helping in this particular circumstance.